So I apologize first of all for, of course, the ongoing mess, and in the Q&A if you want me to be. You can come on in. You have to be in the Discord. As if you want to just be a +1 here. Anybody that wants to come on in. So before we get going for this next hour, I promise I'm going to keep it an hour. I've been doing 90 minutes lately. I apologize because we get talking. You're gonna need to raise your hand if you're in Discord. If anybody wants to participate in the chat, please come on in the Discord. I need to know you. Otherwise, I need to vet you before we start. I think River is who we need to invite. Is that right? Did I get that right? I don't remember the Discord association. So I've also apologized on behalf of Streamlabs, which has decided once again. All right, so you're invited there, Izzy. What should I call you, Izzy? Should we call you Izzy because that's your Twitch name? Yeah. You're muted if you're trying to talk. Just checking.
Yeah, I was
so as usual, we have Izzy with us. I mean, Matt is with us and Izzy. So say hi, Matt.
Hi, Izzy.
And there's Izzy. Izzy works at Discord. Hopefully tomorrow. Yeah? Tomorrow, yep. Or if not tomorrow, another day. We're going to dedicate the entire hour to peppering, not just asking, but peppering Izzy with questions about working at Discord. And how awesome it is to work for a company like Discord. Full disclosure, I have nothing to do with Discord except for that I am a user and I was one of the original users of it, and I did the whole thing and I paid my dues and all that. And I used Discord quite successfully for a long time to do private mentoring. So Izzy, so stay tuned for that. That's coming tomorrow. Yeah, Izzy, is that good? Yep. Okay, let's do that tomorrow. And I've got a number of questions queued up, especially given all the amazing things that they've just come up with lately. They came up with threading and new API endpoints and a whole bunch of other crazy forums and crazy stuff that I want to really just talk to them about, as well as like working for a company like Discord. So I'm super excited that that Izzy has agreed to, has actually offered to be here. All right. So, but for today, I have a couple of things to announce. First of all, and I wanted to talk about some of these things from a selfish perspective and ask some questions to you. It says questions. It doesn't say that I have to answer all the questions. It doesn't say that I can't ask questions. So I actually have some questions for y'all. And I want to get your input on this based on some things that I'm going through at work. And I'm sure many of you have gone through as well. And we have a couple other questions too that are kind of lingering from before. Just a reminder, if you want to ask a question, go ahead and just put a Q in front of the title, in front of your message inside of the Twitch chat, or you can go to the questions, conversations, and advice section inside of Discord, and you can post your stuffs there. Resign and stream full time. I mean, I wish I could pay for that. I don't think I could pay for that. That's the point of the question. I really feel bad that you can't see everybody's, and I blame Streamlabs. So I turned OBS on today and the chat stopped working. And I'm not ruling out user error, but in this particular case, I mean, Streamlabs has done me wrong many times in the past. And so the chat is not working, and I decided I didn't have time to fix it. So if you want to see the chat, unfortunately, for this session, you're not going to be able to see all these witty comments from everybody. I'm just going to have to read them to you, which stinks. I don't like it, but oh well. So let's get into it. So the first question, I mean, I don't know whether to start with the kind of the rough stuff about work or to get into the more, you know, like light, like technical questions. It's Red Hat's fault. People are teasing me because I've been kind of mean to Red Hat lately, and I haven't seen Hayden since I posted some of the stuff I did about Red Hat. I feel really bad about that. I don't mean any ill will toward anybody over at Red Hat. I just don't.
You were kind of fired up.
I was very fired up, and I mean, people know me. I know that I do that, and then I come back down. It's Procomox's fault now. So just to let everybody know, I've like sworn off Red Hat, and too aggressively actually, and because it did me wrong in many ways. And I just found out today that FreeIPA, which Hayden talked about a couple days ago, is a Red Hat only technology. It is actually the clandestine name for, and I'm actually going to put a question here for this, for something called Red Hat Identity Manager. So, so the question is, why does Red Hat hide everything? And I think I know the answer, and it's really not anybody's. It's VirtualBox's fault. So the other day, somebody LBG I think showed to me that well, you can't swear off Red Hat because you'd have to swear off Podman and Builda and Scopio and all these other crazy amazing things that Red Hat has done. And Red Hat, as I've said before, has done amazing things. That's not the question. The main contributor to Ceph, of course. I mean, Red Hat is a fantastic company that's doing great contributions to things, but they are a company that caters to the enterprise above all. And they've proven that over and over again. And that's my complaint. That's my primary complaint with Red Hat. Um, and authentication, yeah. And so, I mean, I haven't seen Hayden back. Hayden was one of the Rocky contributors, so he probably takes it very personally. This is another thing I really don't like. I don't like it when I criticize the technology and people take personal offense. I mean, that to me is that, what do you think of that? What does everybody think of that? Should I be offended if people don't like the technology that I've worked on? You know,
I don't know. I mean, everyone's entitled, to their opinion. So, I
yeah,
mean,
and I
you're
think that,
you're allowed to have biased opinions about
and I
certain
do,
things after you dig into them,
yeah,
and see that things aren't compatible.
yeah. And
Yeah.
LBG rightly criticized me the other day, reflected back to me. He's like, dude, you like overreact to tons of stuff. And it's totally true. I totally do. Usually it's right after something really bad has happened in my own world that has made me annoyed. And then I cool off and then I kind of come back. But usually it's too late after that. I've damaged a relationship or two. Don't be me. Do be better than me. And, stick with the tech and say, be more balanced on that. So that's the right thing to do. So I hope I haven't, offended too many people at Red Hat. But to tell you the truth, I am not a fan of what the company has done over the last several years. I feel like they've made some mistakes. Anyway, and so the question is, why do they hide everything? This is an honest question. If you go to the containers page, so github.com/containers, everything there is Red Hat, but you can't tell anything's Red Hat. There's no references whatsoever to it being from Red Hat. Why? Why don't they just own it? Why don't they say this is primarily supported by Red Hat, this is sponsored by Red Hat, or something like that? They don't. Even though in order to submit any security flaws, it says please submit your any security bugs or anything to this official Red Hat email address. And they did the same thing. So I had no idea free IPA was Red Hat Identity Manager until today. Because I was looking to say, can I still use free IPA on my Ubuntu server? And the answer is no, apparently. Can't ask Hayden because they're not here. Maybe they are. Hayden, can I use it? If you're here, Hayden, I really honestly want to know, can I use free IPA on Ubuntu server? Or is that crossing the streams too much and people are going to yell at me? I mean, it would be silly to say there's not a rivalry between Ubuntu and Red Hat. I mean, that's just silly, right? They're both for-profit companies, Canonical and Red Hat, and they're kind of in the same space, and very, very hot competition there. The
So
external
I'm
maintainer.
I'm fairly new to Red Hat.
You can use FreeIPA on Ubuntu server
You can.
or on any server for that matter,
It,
but you're going to miss out on any sort of Docker or
yeah.
stuff like that because that is only Red Hat.
Interesting. Okay. So I found a blog, just so anybody wants to know. I found a blog that said something about Open LDAP plus Kubernetes versus free IPA. And this was, by the way, in 2018, this blog that I found that was about this. And so people were like weighing whether they should use one or the other one. I actually found something similar to that inside of our internal infrastructure. I was auditing a whole bunch of
I'm gonna do some digging for you, Rob.
Yeah.
We're Red Hat subscription members, so I might be able to do a little bit of more research if we don't hear back from Aiden.
Yeah. And by the way, being a Red Hat subscription member is going to be normal in the enterprise. And I've said, look.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's kind of a waste of money, though. I do have some biased opinions, and
yeah.
I did agree with you a lot after you re-explained, your opinions about Red Hat.
My crazy like ranting. As I've said before, the best thing to do is actually, don't just start with a conclusion. Start, lead people to the conclusion. It's hard though because you're frustrated and you say this sucks or that sucks. I don't think Red Hat sucks. I think Red Hat has done amazing things. If anything, they've really pushed the envelope on all of technology. Say what you want about systemd, but for what it does, it does it well. And you can hate on it all you want, but it's at least pushed the envelope of that.
Yeah, I'd have to agree on that.
Yeah.
The systemd is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and boy, that is a really, really flaming topic right there to talk about systemd. But in an enterprise environment, systemd makes a lot of sense for an enterprise. And enterprises are people too, according to Mitt Romney. So, we have to let, I think it's okay for there to be a Linux distribution for enterprise. That's what I'm trying to say. Does that mean that I want to use that in my home lab? Maybe not. If I'm using it all day, I used to think that you're dumb, me being dumb, for not using the same operating system on your laptop that you use on your servers because your skills would transfer. And I don't believe that anymore. I now believe that in your own personal life, you should have the freedom to use all of this new crazy stuff, including Arch. And then use the other stuff as well. And then you're a more well-rounded person, and maybe you'll get some ideas from this other tech that you could use in your enterprise tech, and eventually they may cross over even. So my position on that is pretty radically different. So Izzy has a command they have shared with us about installing RNG tools, which includes the FreeIPA stuff. But I just want to be clear here that FreeIPA is a Red Hat product, even though it's pretty well hidden. The Mitt Romney joke. Was systemd pushed by Red Hat? Absolutely. No, that came from Red Hat. I'm almost 100% positive that came from a Red Hat engineer who then went on to work at Microsoft. Please back me up on that. I don't want to lie. I'm pretty loosey-goosey here. This is not a journalism stream. I don't want anybody to, I'm going to get shit wrong all the time. Please correct me if I'm wrong. That's the difference. I'm not Alex Jones where I'm going to tell you what's true and you're going to believe me no matter what. But, speaking of that, there is a question here that's somewhat controversial that I want to get out of the way because I want to be a good person and answer it. And there's no way for me to answer this question without throwing some shade. And I'm going to do my best. I'm really going to do my best. So let me find the question so I can put it in here. Out of curiosity, do you know who Luke Smith is? And there's at least one person in the studio audience who's like, oh my God, here we go. And I'm going to try because I'm trying to be a better person. Also, I'm drinking a little bit of rum, so I'm kind of mellower. Wait, where's my rum? Just like Callie. That's a great question. We'll answer that in a second. All right. So if you don't know who Luke Smith is a YouTuber who who streams a lot. Let me read you the comments from the Discord. So one member of our community has said, I really like Luke. I may not agree with him all the time, but he's great. He has great content. He can really get his point across. I disagree. Mind giving any insight to those of us who don't know who Luke is? Guessing you're referring to Luke Smith XYZ, but don't know. There's a Reddit. Be careful with Luke Smith. I don't give a shit what Luke Smith thinks of me. There's your swear word. That's kind of leading into my answer here. That is all I have to say about that. So, there is actually a Reddit called Be Careful with Luke Smith. It's literally the title. That's the title. Oh my God. Well, that's perfect then. I think I need to go check that out and read it. Okay, here's the thing. So I'm just going to tell you how I see it, okay? And I normally don't like to make things personal, but in this case, the question is directly personal. I think Luke Smith is full of shit in 99% of the things that he says. First of all, he's never once been employed in any enterprise capacity at all. So everything he's telling you when he tells you definitively that this is the way to do it and this is the way to do it is not informed by any professional experience whatsoever. And if that's wrong, please correct me. All right. So, and I want to tell you something that TJ Holowaychuk said, who's one of my greatest people that I worship out there. He made so many amazing things. TJ Holowaychuk, if you don't know who he is, go search about him. And TJ Holowaychuk has a saying. And it's funny because I was telling people these same things in a different way, and then TJ Holowaychuk tweeted it once. And he basically said, the more likely you are to hear from somebody, the less likely you are to care about what they have to say. And the premise of that is that people who spend all their time marketing themselves and pushing YouTube videos and blogging and stuff are not doing the stuff often that they're trying to blog and write about. And that goes for me too. There are thousands of people that are better informed than me about technology, about all of this stuff. The reason that I am constantly asking questions is because I accept the fact that I have sacrificed a certain level of expertise to build my own home lab when other people could do it in their sleep. I like LBG. LBG is I'm going to pick on you. Okay. We have, crazy ass, amazing Romanian technologists in our community. We have people who are members of the Cloud Native board. Do they spend time streaming like me? Do they spend time like doing what I do and reading random, chapters from the innovators and getting drunk on stream and all that? No, they don't. And they're better technologists than me. And I'm telling you that. You should go listen to them when and if they ever say anything. And LBG, by the way, LBG today, he's just saying it right now. LBG has said that he's thinking of streaming, or they are thinking, I don't know, gender, I'm assuming it's they for your pronouns, but they're thinking of streaming. And I think you should start streaming too, particularly the people who know, because the people who know, the people who are good are not the people who spend time answering Stack Exchange surveys. What's the most beloved language on the planet? Rust. Check. Let me go argue about whether Vue is better than React or something. I mean, I'm picking on the front-end community. I was a member of that community for a very long time. The people who spend time crafting their social media and their YouTube and stuff, especially if they're making money at it, are going to be the people on the bottom of your list of people to follow in order to keep current and make decisions that matter in the enterprise or anywhere else. And guess who's on the top of that list? Luke Smith. He's one of the many who's on the top of this list who, like, so many others, lives off of attention and controversy and all that stuff. Now, I'm passionate and I argue and I'm a little bit of a shock jock. I admit it openly, but at least I work for a company and am paid to do this. And I have for a very long time. And it's not just me. Many other people are doing the same thing. So when people like LBG or Tani Fa or Chris Nova, when they start streaming, you're like, oh my God, thank you for streaming. Because why? Because they matter. Luke Smith doesn't fucking matter. He doesn't matter. He's probably, I don't even think he's a wonderful human being based on the misogyny and all the other stuff I've heard come out of that guy's mouth. And that was when I had to stop recommending him to people. And if there's an entire Reddit against Luke Smith, then there's going to be a certain population that's, loves 4chan and Reddit and Luke Smith, and they're just going to own it, and they're going to like run around and type, really horrible words in people's Twitch chats to try to get him banned and shit, because that's their thing. That's what drives them. But that ain't me, and I don't think that's my community, and I don't think that's what you want. And I'm probably going to hear about this, but this is the question. People ask me what I think. I think the guy is an inexperienced, person who makes suggestions based on his own personal preferences, which are largely hobbyist tech, which is fine if you want to just be a hobbyist or you don't want anything. But if you want to get a job and you want to actually follow the industry and you want to like think through the origins of some of this stuff, then you should probably move beyond Luke Smith or people like him. So anyway, when you put me in the same sentence with Chris Noah, now I can die. Come on, LBG. You're a very practical person. You're very soft-spoken, but you've got a lot of knowledge under your belt. It's very obvious from the things you've shared. And by the way, this is just one of the many LBGs being a little bit humble here, but there's there's a lot of amazing people in my community and other communities. Some who don't like me, they just don't like my personality. I was watching Chris the other day, and there was like all these people in there that I've never heard from, and I'm thinking, oh, how have I, put off all of these people at some point? They didn't want to watch me because they just don't jive with my personality, and that's fine. And the people that like Luke Smith are not going to like me. I guarantee you, they're not going to like me at all. So, there you have it. And I don't wish Luke Smith any ill will. I don't want anything bad to happen to Luke Smith. I don't think that anybody should attack Luke Smith. I just don't think you should listen to anything he has to say at all, unless you just want to hear the contrarian opinions. And by the way, to a much, 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 much lesser degree, this goes for other YouTubers who have social media marketing degrees like DistroTube. I really love DistroTube when he puts himself out there and he's doing crazy, amazing things, but he's not working in enterprise technology at all. So when he makes a big rant about how Emacs is the best editor to use and how he's changed his mind on these other things, you have to ask yourself, well, what is he doing? And that's really what I want you to take away. This is not a personal attack against Luke or DistroTube or any of them. This is suggesting that you ask yourself the question, where are they coming from? What are they trying to help me understand? And most of these people that will tell you what to do before they ask you, for example, when they ask you what the best programming language is and they don't even ask you what you do or why you care, right? They're not looking for context. They're looking to flex or to whatever. And I want to say that I haven't been guilty of that. I'm guilty about being overly passionate and bipolar on technology issues for sure. But I don't necessarily think that I would push my ideas on you, even if that wasn't the best thing for you. And that includes Red Hat or Emacs or NeoVim and all those things. So the takeaway from this is, Luke Smith or otherwise, is ask yourself the question, what am I learning here? And what are this person's priorities? And by the way, my priorities above everything else when it comes to enterprise and when it comes to the boost is getting you employable. It's teaching you employable. I know it's a mess. They're commenting on my studio. It's teaching employable skills. That is my number one priority. It has been since 2013. And I've footed the bill to the tune of thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to make that a reality, because I believe in it so much. And that is my ultimate priority. And that's why I work, because, I don't want to be a dancing monkey who does whatever you tell me to, because that's how I make my money on Twitch and YouTube. And so that's where I'm coming from. So you can know my motivation. And as I've said before, my motivation is on operations and being, able to work on any one of these 30 different machines instantly without having to configure NeoVim and Lua on every system or whatever, right? So those are my priorities. Now you know where I'm coming from. And now you can make your own fair comparison with Luke or anyone and make a decision. And that's really your thing to do. And just don't allow yourself to be bullied into doing something because somebody has a really strong rhetorical style, whether it be me or Luke Smith. If they come at you by saying, if you're not doing this, you're an idiot, which I'm guilty of saying, you need to push back like LBG and others have done with me. And they need to say, no, okay, why are you saying that? Come on, tell me what's up with that. And you're like, you know what, you're absolutely right. Here's my reasons. Right? And if somebody's not going to give you the reasons, walk the other way immediately. Because they really don't care about you at that point. They just want to flex. So that's it. It's all about their ego, not yours. Okay, let's move on. Should I be offended if people don't like the tech I've worked on? We talked about this one a little bit. Before we leave the other question, though, does anybody, Izzy or Matt, do you have anything to say? I've been just blah, blah, blahing. I'm expressing a pretty strong opinion here, but I'm open to people disagreeing even with that opinion right now, live. If anybody has something they want to offer, River or Izzy or Matt. I'm not asking for, yes, men sort of a, confirmation. That's what I'm doing. I'm just saying if anybody disagrees, please let me know. Please let me know. And I want you to bring that up. Is it possible to freelance in this field? Ooh, that's a great question. Okay, let me put that in the questions list. Okay, we'll move on. So The questions about individuals are always really hard because you can't answer them without them being personal. To tell you the truth, I haven't. I mean, in complete fairness, I have not watched a single YouTube video from Luke Smith in over 5 years. So if something over there has changed, you go make your own decision. And I'm not interested in it. I saw enough when I saw it, and I just I don't know. I don't find anything useful over there at this worth my time. What's that? Enjoy my explanation on IPA. Ooh, thank you for that, Izzy. Izzy posted to the chat a post about IPA and how to use it anywhere, whether it be Ubuntu server or Red Hat. That's really great. Thank you for that. Here says about hiring and employability. Absolutely. You can always share. So can I shamelessly plug someone else who shares the same ideology about hiring employability? Absolutely. This is an open forum. I mean, I've heard that Ethan Evans is somebody to listen to about this. I do not know who Ethan Evans is. But now that somebody you can go ask about. I know. I look, this is, he's a VP of Amazon. Oh, I didn't know that. Where's my rum? That's XVP. That's the thing about being a very honest streamer. I can't hide. I can't hide. I can't pretend to be more well informed like YouTubers. YouTubers can pretend like they're the masters of the universe, and they can take multiple takes and can do all the research before they do a video. Not me.
Again, Lee's about to fake it till you make it.
Yeah. I have no idea who Ethan Evans is. And apparently he's a big deal over at Amazon. So thank you for that.
Don't worry, I don't know who the hell he is either.
Yeah, well, maybe that's a good thing, right? Maybe our lack of knowledge. Look, I know about things other people don't know about, and other people know about things that I don't know about, and that's the whole point of community, is to get together and be like, bro, like Nicola is saying here, and help each other, not be so clueless. That's what it's about, right?
I just don't care to follow who the VP of Amazon is.
No, I mean, there's a part of me, actually, people that know me from 2 years ago, when I started streaming, I would do 2 hours of news every day. And what I would do is I would read all the tech news of the day. And I do think there's a certain responsibility in technology to keep generally abreast of major tech innovations that are happening in the news of the day and that kind of thing. But there's so much to learn that it's you can get so bogged down by just following, for example, the fact that NFTs dropped 99.7% in the number one NFT exchange since May, which was, I posted it on Twitter. You have to go read that for yourself. I'm not going to talk about that right now.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. And I posted, I was like, I think CoffeeScript had a longer life than NFTs. So, but they're interesting, but they're not necessarily relevant, and they are fun to talk about. People ask me about crypto and things, but, so 2 hours of ranting sounds exhausting. It wasn't just 2 hours of ranting. It was, we would go through the news. What I did, it was really dumb, but I would curate all the news in my inbox every day, this is something I've been doing for years, right? I don't do it as much now, but I would curate I had alerts on Google. One of the things that's really great about Google, by the way, I'm going to put a question about this. You produced it. Yeah.
I use Yahoo. I'm old school. Yahoo tells me everything I need to know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How do you keep up on current tech news?
There's a Google extension called devpost.com, I think, and basically every time you load up Chrome, it will display a whole load of news on recent technologies.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I think particularly in your position,
It's handy.
yeah. I mean, there's they don't tell you when you sign up for, I love Learn with Leon. He uses the word culture. when you enter into the tech profession, you join a culture, and part of that culture is being aware of the major movements in tech. And there are people who choose not to do that, who are very, very heads down, digging out, memory leaks in the middle of C code and stuff like I used to do for IBM, and they don't catch all the tech news. And then there's the CTO people and the tech leads and stuff that they have to know that stuff. The Tawny Faws of the world, they have to read what the current events are, what's going on.
Yeah, because if we've got a bad, massive, big news company that's written about Discord,
Yeah,
we're going to be down users so much. I
yeah.
mean, last time we had a massive news company comment on something that happened with Discord. I'm not going to go into detail, and we dropped at least 200,000 users.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So you kind of have to be aware of those things, right? Um, I'm not sure who saw. Someone was asking if they can stream my stream. Yeah, they can stream my stream. That's fine. I don't mind people restreaming me. That's fine. This is all. This is all. What is it? Community stuff, content. I don't care if people restream. If they start to sell my stream stuff in my messy room, I would at least like to know. So that's all I want to say
Yeah.
about that. I have. If somebody wants to actually make a podcast and a true podcast, I'm all for that. If somebody wants to actually do the work for turning this into an act, people were requesting. In fact, I should put a question. Why don't you have an actual podcast?
I'll be done.
Yeah, I actually spent a day trying to look at all the different podcast resources and figure out how to talk about it, and how to publish it, and I discovered that one of the feed burner is dead now, and all this stuff. Podcasting is a totally different beast. And open your stream while I stream. Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I mean, if people want to republish this work as a podcast in some way without significant edits, that's the only thing I ask, is that people don't edit out that bad part I said about Luke Smith and just publish that only. I mean, that's kind of mean. Then yeah, fine. That's fine with me. So if you want to do that, if somebody wants to help me put a podcast out and can help me put the source to host it and everything, it does cost money to host it. I do have the videos that I could then put up there and convert them to MP4 and stuff. It does take time to do that. That's why I'm not doing it now, because I do have a very important job. And that brings me to a question that I want to ask you. Watching on stream is fine. What do you do when most of your team quits? And this is a question to the entire community. And I'm just going to tell my story very briefly.
That's a tough question because I'm going through the same situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been through the same situation as well.
How is that going? Are they giving you all the stuff that everybody was doing
Yeah,
before?
I'm getting duties pushed onto me.
Yeah. And how do you respond to
that? Just accept it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you going to do, right? It's like, you're going to do your best.
Well, we now have a rule, because we've had it happen before, that if 60% of the team quits, we can't run anymore. We can't carry on, because last time we had more people leave because we carried on.
Yeah, really?
Because they were under too much stress.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I've wondered about that. I mean, Discord seems to be like it could. I mean, it seems really fun and all. I mean, we'll get into that tomorrow, but I'm sure there's moments of stress.
I'm going to stand my ground.
Stand your ground?
Like you said, tech and I can't see your name. Sorry, I'm watching on an iPad. But yeah, I'm going to stand my ground and just roll with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we some people, LBG's joking that we should quit and start another company. Don't quit and stand your ground. Make a plan. Ask for more money, people sometimes say, and no. So without obviously giving away details of my employer,
can't ask for more money when the people leaving are leaving for more money when they
Yeah.
asked for a a comparable rate to stay.
Yeah.
So that's a hard one.
That is a hard one. That is a hard one. In fact, in this particular case, I learned today that everybody got KubeCon tickets approval, which is $1,500, by the way, per seat because it's corporate, except me because I'm a tech contractor. And the manager said, "Well, this other person's not going to be there, so we'll see what we can do." Uh, Otherwise, I'm not going to KubeCon, and I'm going to go up there. This is something I want to put. I'm going to put a question here too. Are you going to KubeCon? The question is yes. And KubeCon is in the end of October, and this is something that was kind of top secret up until recently. But I'm going to KubeCon. I'm just not paying for KubeCon. So I know I support KubeCon. I just don't have $800 to pay for KubeCon because I'm going to be traveling all of the northeastern area with my wife looking for an MFA program. Head out and get food. Take care, Izzy. Take care. Bye. I know it's late for you, so thank you for being here. So I am going to KubeCon. We are going to have at least 1 or 2 nights together up there, and I will tell you where I'm going to be, what pub we're going to be at, and we can have a mini RDBX con up there. The only reason to go to conferences, as far as I'm concerned, is to meet people and to hobnob with people that I know. So I did want to put that out there. I will be going to KubeCon in October, but I'm only going to be there for a couple days, which doesn't warrant the cost to spend. And I will be doing all kinds of things. But at night, if you want to meet me, if you want to come by, I know that's sort of opening myself up to stream sniping and stuff like that, but that's fine. We'll be streaming the whole thing. And if you'd like to come by and say hi, I'll be publishing that the details about that in the stream over the next couple. That's a new development. We just figured that out today. Are you single? No. I'm married to an artist. That was an easy question. Is it possible to freelance in this field? What does everybody think? We got opinions on that? First of all, what is this field?
You got to define this field, but yeah, there's a ton of freelance work out there.
Yeah. I think
I'm not going to mention any specific sites, but
yeah,
there is freelance work.
Consulting's a possibility. Cloud native. Yeah. What's my favorite actress? Are you asking? Is that a serious question? That's a great question. Are you asking me what my favorite actress is? I mean, I will answer that if you're asking that, but if that's not what I can't tell from your comment. So let me finish with the other one. So yes, you can freelance, and I'm doing it. I'm working. The best way to get into this field, in my opinion, is to start working for a consulting firm, who will do the business of finding you a job and getting you a job and placing you and all of that jazz, and taking care of you and dealing with the fact when you need to take extra time off. To be fair, we just had a guy that I work with at Tech Systems who, for health reasons, had to quit. And then we just heard about another guy on my team who's been there for many years since I started. He's also quitting. So there's not that many people left. And that was the other question. What do you do when most of your team quits? I find it rather serendipitous that I was building a home Kubernetes lab at the same time that the person who built our enterprise Kubernetes lab was contemplating leaving and has now announced that they're leaving for sure. So this has left an extraordinary amount of responsibility on my shoulders as well as the rest of our team. And that's just the nature of work. I mean, that's just the way things are going to go. I hate to say this, but as little as I know about Kubernetes, I mean, I do know a lot, but Tanifa says that I have advanced knowledge of Kubernetes, according to Tanifa, who's, pretty involved with Kubernetes, which makes me feel good. But I still feel like I have tons left to learn because there's so much to learn, right? But that puts me in a position of being something of an SME on the team. And I only have at most a year's experience with Kubernetes. This is an industry problem, by the way. The biggest problem in cloud native right now is what they call the day after problem. and you can research this. There's a Bloomberg article on it, I think. It's called the day after, the second day dilemma, which is what happens after you decide to deploy Kubernetes and you have all of these updates you have to do. I mean, just today, I took the spreadsheet from the guy who quit and reworked it into a YAML database of sorts so that we could keep track of our priorities on what applications need to be updated, Tecton, oh God, whatever. I mean, we got Selden, Tecton, Prometheus, Elasticsearch, which ones have to be updated. We decided we're getting off Domino, by the way. By the beginning of the year, we will be off Domino completely, thank God. And we're going to be on Vertex AI. That might be a little bit of a proprietary secret, but oh well. So don't use Domino. I've said that before. And all of these things, right? Auditing all of the stuff in your enterprise and how to maintain them and everything. And that's a big part of the job. I will be doing more Kubernetes support and less, updating and that kind of thing, and less API development. Even though, I've been very active in our Go development toward those types of things, and I really like it. In fact, I'm going to be doing a lot of similar development on the stream coming up to write my own Klogin script / Go program. To log into my Kubernetes cluster using probably what is it? Keycloak and OpenLDAP and that kind of thing in OAuth. So that's one of the biggest pieces of building your own Kubernetes cluster. So, but what do you do when your team quits? You have to decide if you want to stay there and drown with the rest of them, or if you want to hang on for as long as you can. There's no doubt that more work is going to be coming my way. They tried to replace these people before, and they can't find anybody. And by the way, I'm going to tell you right now, if you have, I am very serious. Day 2 operations, yeah, I am extremely serious. If you have significant on-prem Kubernetes experience, meaning that you're running your own Kubernetes lab at home, or you've actually installed the Kubernetes installation and maintained it for any size company. If that describes you, I have a job for you today. And if you call me, and not call me, but if you let me have your information in Discord, and I have done this for other people, I've helped people find jobs. As I've said, Billy was on yesterday. He's the one who helped me get my current job. I have a recruiter who is like dying to talk to you, who can fill you in that job. People who say that there's no work out there are not telling the whole story. There's tons of work out there, but it's work for people who have the experience and who have put the time in, and there's not a lot of work for other people. So to be fair, there was somebody who had cloud experience only who applied for this job and got turned down because they didn't have raw Kubernetes on-prem experience, which is why you see a whole lab over here. Because enterprises that are focused on machine learning and stuff like that are still, conservative in particular, are still very motivated to build their own on-prem Kubernetes infrastructures. They're not, our companies like migrating to GCP with as many deployments as they can. But given that, there is still a need for on-prem Kubernetes management, particularly for like infrastructure operations and creating operations microservices that are internal, that are monitoring things, creating our own REST API to monitor our own batch processes and other things internally. So operations these days can actually benefit from a Kubernetes cluster because you put applications into the Kubernetes cluster so you can home grow your own operations applications. And that's really, really fun because then you can write microservices and REST APIs and things like that and utilities to manage your own internal operations. And there's always going to be internal operations. There's always going to be internal operations. There's always going to be something that is not going to be suitable for the cloud. And in fact, we had some Selden users complain about how slow Selden was on GCP compared to on-prem, and now they're thinking about coming back on-prem, and we got to help them understand if that's true or not, because we want to get them off of on-prem. Less jobs rather than more. I have time to work on my project. Yes. I guess it depends on why they quit. I guess that's also true, right? If they quit because they were getting more money, I'm going to be real. I I don't know. First of all, I don't know. And if my team members are watching this, I want you to understand that I do not know. But I've lost everybody on my team who created this Kubernetes cluster, including the manager, in the last 2 years. They've all left. Every single one of them. 5 major people have left the company, which leaves me.
You're up to bat, Rob.
What's that?
You're up to bat.
I really am. And it's terrifying.
It's ironic, though.
It's like I have skills.
In order, too, so that's nice.
What's that?
You got your home lab going, too, so that's going to be very beneficial.
Yeah, and Matt, you've shared about your experience as well, where you kind of got accelerated up the chain kind of quickly. People who are willing to step up and work and figure stuff out are always, in my opinion, going to be okay because they're going to do what they have to do. And I've, of course, reached out to this community to do those kind of things. Okay, so a couple other fun questions here. Should I be offended if people don't like the tech I worked on? I don't think so. I think you should be able to dismiss that. If I say that Rust is stupid, I'm not saying you're stupid for liking Rust. I'm saying I think Rust is stupid. I'm going to tell you the reasons why. And now you're probably a wonderful person, and I don't think you're stupid. I'm going to buy your beer or your drink, right? And we're going to have a talk. But it doesn't, we'll have a great debate about it. But it doesn't mean I think you're stupid. It might mean that I don't think that you have all the facts. And I really want to punch this point because one of my best friends of all time is a huge crypto guy. I don't think so anymore. I haven't talked to him in probably a year. One of my best friends of all time, and massive crypto guy. Gave $4,000 keynote addresses and all kinds of things. It would take me out and get me totally drunk and drive me home and bring me home to my wife and apologize and say, I'm so sorry, I got him all drunk. I had really great memories with this dude. And yet he and I radically disagreed on the whole crypto thing. And we would get totally drunk and we would talk it out and we would give each other a big hug and he would buy me books for Christmas and not about crypto, by the way. He would buy me interesting books he thought I was interested in. He was just a fucking awesome human being. He still is. But I think the crypto that he pushes is totally stupid. But he doesn't ever feel attacked that I'm attacking what he presents every day as a part of his, professional identity. The point I want to make here, and before we leave this, and I don't know how much time we have. We have probably 5 minutes, 10 minutes left, is that you can radically disagree on a technology and still be friends and relations with the person. It's like people who are Republicans and I don't know how they do it, but Republicans and Democrats will actually get married and they'll still make the marriage work, right? I could not do that, by the way. I could, if my beliefs were too radical, my beliefs for my wife are radically different enough on topics that we won't get into, that we just agree to not talk about those particular things. Because it's just too inflammatory. It just means that we're going to end up, not wanting to have sex again. So we don't talk about those things, but we agree to disagree on those particular things. I think that, legitimate disagreement is a natural part of being human. And I wish that people would stop being offended by people who would disagree or even attack the thing that you love. And I need to listen to this advice just as much as anybody else because people will start attacking Go and I'm like, okay, well let's go. What's up? Tell me what you hate about it. But if your attack is so stupid that you've never even used it, you have no basis for anything you're saying, I'm just going to laugh at you. Doesn't mean I don't like you. I'm just going to laugh at you. I'm like, whoa, you have no idea what you're talking about. Do you want to hear why? And then you have a conversation after that. Whoops, there was nothing in it. We're good. I feel criticized. Yes, and I do criticize JavaScript a lot. JavaScript's an easy target. People don't know this about me. JavaScript syntax is my favorite language syntax of all time. I am not even exaggerating. That is not a trolling statement or anything. I am actually reading the Imposter Syndrome book right now, and they're able to one-for-one show lambda calculus using fat arrow functions. I mean, there's problems with it, obviously. I mean, the whole, type assignment and stuff like that. But it is actually really amazing. JavaScript syntax is actually really amazing, and Brendan Eich, given the time he had to make it, and everything they've done to change the language over time, I truly compliment them on that. I have great respect for JavaScript as a language, particularly for the syntax. I really, really love it. I wish Go had a syntax that was a little bit more like JavaScript. Am I asking for async await? Hell no. Fat arrow functions? Yeah. Oh my God. Those are so sweet. I love them. So yeah. So I don't think you should be offended by people disagreeing with what you do in tech. I think it's hard. There are areas where it's a little bit harder. I mean, in tech, it's not worth it. If somebody disagrees with you because you think life begins at conception, for example, that's a different issue, right? Now somebody thinks you're a murderer because you disagree with them. And that's what makes it much harder to have a sane conversation with a person, even if you're your best friend. Because now you're actually talking to someone that you perceive to be a murderer. And that makes it very hard. That's not just somebody who loves Rust. Somebody who loves Rust is not a murderer. It's like somebody who's lost their way. But if you actually think that somebody else is a murderer because of how you perceive when life begins, that's very, very, very hard to reconcile that. And you end up, but nothing in tech is to that degree. And people get very passionate. I would be the first to admit this, but they don't get passionate to the point where they're going to, take up arms against you, because you are, using CoffeeScript or something, or crypto. I attack crypto all the time. The thing I don't like about crypto is it reminds me of like one of these like mega televangelists who's pushing crypto as the solution to the world's problems, and they haven't even looked at any of the other problems that economists and sociopolitical people have been studying, anthropologists have been putting forth for years. They're like so married to their answer to the problems of the world that they are not even open to any of the others. And they also happen to be highly invested in that particular type of crypto. I find that disingenuous and fucking evil, frankly. And so I do have the most problem with crypto people because they claim to be acting for the benefit of the world, and they're so highly invested that there's no way they can even psychologically separate themselves from their investment. And so that gets really hard. And they're not even aware of it. It's just like people who buy into religion and spend so much money in it, they can't leave it. The Four Horsemen, by the way, the Four Horsemen part 1 and 2, I am going to watch that on stream. And that's one of the topics that they talked about in the first 15 minutes, which I really loved, is about how to talk to people who feel immediately attacked by disagreeing with them, particularly religious people. And you just disagree with them and they feel immediately attacked, and they like get the guns out and everything. And how do you even deal with that? When people who disagree with you and stuff like that. So that's not tech, of course, that's religion. But if you haven't, it goes back quite a ways. The Four Horsemen series came out in 2017, I think. But it's definitely worth watching. I don't think Sarah Bailey's in that one. I don't think. That's Sam Harris and what's his face? All the those guys. Sam Harris is my favorite. Sam Harris is the most feeling of them. Regularly champions the spiritual epiphanies that people have as being real, but misattributed to religious purposes, which is just super amazing. I didn't want to make this about religion or anything like that, but that it does, when you talk about being offended and passionate. Dawkins, Hitchens, Harris, and so forth. Yeah, and a fourth man. Yeah, it looks like me, by the way. When you start talking about this offending people and stuff like that, the topic of religiosity and philosophy tends to like creep in, because that's the extreme, right? Tech is not that. Tech is not people's personal beliefs. Tech is tech. and it should stay tech. But for a guy like me, tech becomes very personal, almost religious. And there are people, I promise you, there's somebody listening to me right now who could probably raise their hand, who has met someone who gets so dogmatically entrenched in a particular technology that they become religious about it. And if you question it for 1 second, if you say that Proxmox sucks or something like that, they'll just turn you off. They'll just cancel you and go someplace else. They don't want to hear what you have to say. They're like, I don't care about this person anymore. They're obviously a dummy because they haven't cared to fully research that particular thing. And I've had radical flip-flops in my past regarding different technologies. I was actually a huge Rust proponent until I used it. And then I was like, this has no value whatsoever to 99.9% of the applications in the enterprise right now. And that's the truth. I didn't like realizing that, but it made it very, very hard to not believe it. And having been Mormon, I'm pretty quick to throw off dogma when I see it. So anyway, last question. How does one open up a new terminal while a long process is running and get all the current and relevant history? With tmux, I assume. All the current and relevant history. I mean, that's just with tmux. So yeah, thank you for the link to the Four Horsemen. Great book. For that one, I'm gonna have to punt and say watch Beginner Boost week 15. I don't mean to be dismissive, but that is too big a question for me to answer right now. The question is, how does one open up a new terminal while a long process is running and get all the current and relevant history? The answer to me on that one, I mean, I don't know if they're asking the question, and the person's not here to ask. I don't know if they're asking the question because they want to hack something, or they want to do kind of an operational thing and they want to just reattach to a session. If it's the second, then that is covered in tmux, and tmux is covered over 5 hours in the week 15 Beginner Boost, which was just posted yesterday. So I'm going to refer to that. If you don't know about the boost, please go check it out. It's the second playlist on the YouTube channel. If you want to go click on it and go to week 15, and you can zoom through that. I don't have bookmarks or anything yet. It takes too much time to make those. And that is about it. We're almost out of time. It's 7:42. Let me see if there's any other trailing questions here. Thank you, Fatigo, for the sub on Prime. Appreciate that so much. That really helps me. You picked Rust as your first language a couple of days ago. It's still in the basics. Look, if you want it, look, you are a free agent, right? You pick your own favorite first language. Some people do C as their favorite first language, Rust, Go, Java, Python, JavaScript. You can make your own pick. And we actually, I'm so mad about this, but QMacro was here and we had an ad hoc session where, I mean, the question here is what's the best first language? And I actually want to do this. I want to do an entire session on this. What's the best language? But we lost that session. I really feel so sad about that because it was so good. But the conclusion of that session with a bunch of really amazing people was that your best first language depends on what you want to do after that. And so many people that recommend first languages on the internet or blogs or something like that, they don't give a shit about what you're going to do next because they don't know you. They don't care about you. They're publishing a blog that's going to sell really well and they don't really care. The answer to that question is it depends. It depends on what you want to do. But if we don't know that about you, if you want to do embedded systems and microelectronics and all of that kind of thing, C is the obvious answer. Right? If you want to do kernel development, you want to do hacking and assembly and disassembly, you want to maybe learn C and assembly. If you want to be really highly productive in the cloud native space, you probably want to learn Go and Python. If you want to be a hacker, and you want to like be able to read Metasploit and like be able to understand everything that's in there, we're talking, Bash, Python, and Ruby. If you want to be a web developer and you want to make really great applications, whether they're PWAs that run on a phone or they're like full blown web applications, we're talking JavaScript all the way, JavaScript and TypeScript. If you want to make if you know that you're going to be making like crazy apps, your whole goal in life is to make native apps on Android, then you should learn Java and Kotlin as your first language, because they will play into that thing. So knowing what you want to do next is really key to making that decision about what language you want to spend your time in. And I promise you, the first language that you learn will influence you for the rest of your life. So you got to pick it carefully. The reason I picked Bash as one of the first languages is because you're saying I'm right, almost. Okay. The reason that I pick Bash these days as the first language is because everybody needs to know Bash. Every single human who uses Linux, which should be every single technologist, period, should learn Bash. The end. Full stop. You have no idea how many seasoned veteran professionals have no idea how to code Bash. To this day, they have no idea what they're doing. And you have to deal with this Bash all the time because nobody teaches it. Because Bash isn't really a programming language. It's a scripting language that you use every time you execute any command on Linux, period. So my first answer is Bash, because Bash applies to everybody. If I don't know what you're going to be or what you're going to do or any of that beyond that, my first answer is Bash, JavaScript, or Python. If you're a web person, JavaScript. If you're an ops person, Bash or Python. Bash and Python are the way, particularly if you're going to be hacking. Yeah, and you got to know your stack, right? And Go is in there, right? I almost put Python before Go. But Python and Go are almost exactly in the same space now. So for the Beginner Boost, we're starting, this is a plug for the Beginner Boost, this Sunday 2 to 6, we will have our first session of Go programming. And so we learned Bash already, and we're gonna do something new this year, and we're gonna learn Go as our first strictly typed language. We're gonna skip Python. You can certainly learn Python later, but after you learn Go, Python will be a walk in the park. So you want to go blue teamish kind of things. So you should probably, if you're gonna do blue teamish kind of things, you're gonna need Python and Ruby and shell/bash. Those are gonna be your primary languages. And C, and ultimately assembly. Yeah. Because you're going to be writing, disassembly code and stuff like that helps understand how the computer works. So you're going to eventually want to learn all those languages. You probably won't need JavaScript as much, depending on what kind of things you're defending against. If you're defending against web attacks, then yeah, you got to know SQL and you got database languages, and so you're going to get SQL injection, and so you can vet that stuff and make sure it's not bad. Document on GitHub. It is. My home lab is slowly but surely being documented on GitHub. The Home Lab thing has its own playlist. It's called Home Lab and It. And I'm trying to put everything out there. And if you want to stay tuned later tonight, if I have energy, I'll be back doing more of that. Bash or Rust. I'm writing my automation of Rust. Writing CLI is a kind of mini Ansible. Yeah, that's cool too. I mean, Rust is fine for that kind of thing too. The difference between Rust and Go is that Rust just takes more time to write for many people. I think, there's a reason that Perl took off as the language of the web in the 90s and not C. C could have been used everywhere, but the reason it wasn't, it was too hard to write, and there was just, too much overhead. We were just parsing environment variables out of CGI scripts. And so Perl won because it was faster to write. And that is the same reason that for utilities on the command line, Rust will always lose to Go, because it's just faster to write code in Go. For most people, but if Rust is your thing and it's all you ever do, then more power to you. So I think that's all we're going to do for today. I think we've gone over a little bit of time. If you want to see the home lab environment like emerging, and then where's my arrow here? Then you can come back and see. We will be doing some more stuff there. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to be. I've been drawing diagrams right now. I'm trying to decide how many of my 39 to 50 systems. I'm probably going to be doing Raspberry Pi PoE hat tonight, and getting my Raspberry Pi cluster up. I have like 16 or 7. I have 30 Raspberry Pis, but I only have space for 16 of them right here. that I'm gonna put. This is a hot swappable Raspberry Pi rack right here. I need to get that populated. So if you want to follow along in the home lab stuff, please come back anytime during Twitch. I will try to stream some of that stuff to. I mean, I'm streaming all of it, but some of it's getting posted to YouTube, but not all. So I appreciate all the support from YouTube. Do all the things to do support if you want to. I have noticed we've had quite an uptick in YouTube subscribers recently since we started doing the questions, conversations, and advice. So I want to thank all the people that have helped me with that and to answer the questions and who've chimed in as guests or regulars like Matt and Izzy. And I think that's going to end us for tonight. Matt, did I miss anything? You think of anything else that we might want to talk about related to that? I think Izzy went to
thanks
bed.
for having me again. Izzy had to go, so
Yeah, I think Izzy's in bed, but they're in England, so they've said so publicly. So for them, I think it's like 3 or 4 o'clock right now. God bless them for being here. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you around. If you come back to Twitch, it may not. I might just be playing games. I make no promises. So, I mean, we gotta have a life. You gotta have balance, right, Matt? You gotta have balance a little bit. Am I gonna get you in a Dota game with me one of these days? Is that ever gonna happen?
Yeah. So, in about a month, probably. Cause
I actually
they're moving me off this second shift fund, so I'll have a normal schedule again. So.
Oh, listen to you. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So I'm hoping to get on Dota with you and learn some things. I got my gaming rig already.
You got a gaming rig. Oh, yeah. Look at you. I figure, if we can help each other, we can be accountability partners and like only play like an hour a night or something. I mean, why not? Right.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'd love that.
Because even if it's just as a bunch of beginner kids, you have to keep me from yelling at the 9-year-olds, though, like I tend to do. And, and we'll have fun with it. I mean, life is for living, and Dota is one of the things that I do for fun. So, an Overwatch and thing. So we'll be doing that. If that's anything that interests you, you can come by Twitch and you can hang out with us. And as we waste time, and I don't even think it's wasting time. It's like recouping. It's what do they call it?
I use it as I use gaming as a way to just take my mind off of work.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
Kind of a relaxing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's a really important thing. Sometimes I get really against gaming. It's a waste of time. Blah, blah, blah. But the truth is that even though you're still sitting in front of a computer, there's something about changing the mindset that you're in that is rejuvenating. And then when you come back to the coding, you're like, you can still code. I can sit in the same chair and play Dota for 2 hours, and then after that 2 hours is over, still want to go code. So gaming, it depends. Some gaming does feel like work for sure. But the gaming that's why I don't play competitive Dota. Because then if I lose, I don't get, so bent out of shape, I can't do anything else for the rest of the night. Putting the effort, you find success is rewarding. Yeah. And I honestly, I think there's something psychologically to the idea of shifting up your focus. Some people can't do gaming. Some people, it's like totally. I had to stop playing Overwatch because, believe it or not, Dota is less of a problem for me. And there are people that are addicted. I'm among them. So you have to be careful with it, but I'm not anti-gaming for sure. And there are people, one of my good friends is a surgeon. He can't even touch games, which is funny because he started out doing games because they're good for his dexterity because he's a surgeon. And so he had to put it aside. He couldn't do it. It was just, he had to really, really put it aside because he just loved it so much. So if you want to see some Dota, stay tuned. Otherwise, I don't know what we'll do. We might do a little bit of hacking. Who knows what. Thank you, YouTube, for being here. And Matt, thank you. And Izzy, if you're out there, thank you.
Thanks.
Izzy's probably sleeping by now. If they weren't muted, they'd probably be snoring. My wife snored like crazy last night. She woke me up from a dead sleep. Shh, don't tell her I said that. Okay, good night. Bye.